Can everyone hear me just before I start?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So good morning, everyone. I'm Abby George, for those of you that don't know me, and I'm going to be talking about how Chiltonville Congregational Church has encouraged me and led me seek out opportunities to serve God and my community. Our church has shown me the importance and power of missions and giving, whether it be globally, locally, or domestically. And growing up and being raised in this church has been a meaningful experience. I have developed wonderful friendships in Sunday school. I have learned many lessons from my amazing teachers, who have also been my parents at times. I have been involved in the youth group and found an interest in missions. There were times I didn't want to wake up early for Sunday school, but it has proven to be rewarding. I may not remember every detail I was taught, or all the people in every book of the Bible, but I have learned many applicable lessons to my life. Each day, I'm trying to be a good Christian, and a big part of that for me means helping out others. On my front line, I've turned to volunteering. Over the years, our church has set a solid foundation between the Salvation Army food challenges and Operation Christmas Child. Events centered around organizations allowed me to see a broader picture of not only our church, but our world. I'm grateful to many adults who have supported our service projects, including Mr. O'Neill and Mrs. Pelton, who biked with us to help support Habitat for Humanity, and now Mrs. Shaw, who has chosen to lead us and teach us this year to head our own community projects, including selling bags for a month to raise money for the PMC bike ride, the MS bike ride, the Heifer Project, and Children's Hospital. Though we cannot forget how all of these projects were made possible without the church. It's not the size of the church, but the size of the church's heart. And this is confirmed in Matthew 18, verse 20. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. We grow up doing things that our parents and our peers do, and as we grow older, the eventual goal is to decide for ourselves what we want to do. After learning a lot from Christian education and the members of this church, I've decided to become more active in choosing my own missions to support. As you all know, I chose to support Cranberry Hospice this year, fundraising for their lending library. And I also spent a lot of time at the local senior center after school. I could say that a million things made me want to volunteer or want to do good things for others. But my guidance from my family, my peers, my faith, and my church has pushed me to become involved. I would especially like to thank Kathy Bush for her time and guidance. Mrs. Bush is just one example of an adult in this church who has made a difference in my life. Through a project she mentored me in this year, involving donating thermal hats to premature newborns in the NICU, I can honestly say that it had a ripple effect on the lives of many others. The turning point is when you find a church to be more than a quaint New England building that hosts services once per week. Through my last several years, I have seen the love and support that resonates from the people throughout this church, throughout the community. When I head off to college in the fall, I have chosen to major in nursing at Salve Regina University, which will allow me to continue to help others that are in need. I will leave you with one quote that we should all consider. If you want to be happy for an hour, take a nap. If you want to be happy for a day, go fishing. If you want to be happy for a year, inherit a fortune. And if you want to be happy for a lifetime, help someone in need. Thank you all so much for listening.
18 years ago, water trickled down my head, and this is where my story began at the church. Pastor Bill walked me around softly and whispered in my ear, showing me to the congregation. With young toddler eyes and a newborn to the church, the water that baptized me blended into the tears, and I saw you all as a family of faith. I am the person who I am today because of everyone in this congregation. People like, and not limited to, Pastor Bill, Wendy and Ken Began, Abby Aronstam, Christine Sykes, Elizabeth Foreman, Marcia Allen, Kathy Bush, Kim Simonson, Larry and Sally Metzger, Joyce and Bill Morse, Bob and Linda Baker, Jerry and Debbie Chaskis, the entirety of the O'Neill, Gagnier, and George families, Pastor Susan Thornton, and finally, Jim and Karen Peterson, the best parents a girl could have, and finally, my sister Haley, my very best friend. Reading the Bible has taught me that God has created me just as I'm supposed to be for his purposes, and this purpose always led to the greater glory for all of us. As scripture states in Ephesians 2:10, for we are all his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. So let's begin with this. I am Rachael Peterson, the daughter of James and Karen Peterson, and they are a child of my grandparents and so on. But we are all children of God. created in his image to spread his word and works to everyone that we can. I am so glad that God has put me in this church with you all. I thank him every day I have the opportunity to be a part of such a close and loving church family. Our frontline moments were always here, but were defined recently by Kathy Bush and Pastor Susan. It is important to spread his word and perform his works. I have chosen to pursue a job where I could help others who cannot help themselves. I have studied hard and become a licensed certified nursing assistant through the Allied Health Program at Plymouth North. But as hard as I have studied to become a CNA, it is only because of the God that I succeed, because that is where he wanted me to be all this time. Everything I have learned here has made me who I am today. My life as a CNA has been one of my most rewarding experiences I've had in high school. Starting as a 17-year-old CNA has not been the easiest thing I've had to do, but it definitely left me with valuable lessons and precious memories. I discovered through my time as a CNA that the easiest way for me to communicate with my residents is through our common belief in Christianity. The time I spent in church and in church school has allowed me to better connect with people. Sometimes I see the disconnect between our two generations, but that gap gets a little smaller when filled with God. For example, I will never forget one of my best moments at Benchmark. It was during one of my nighttime routines with one of my favorite residents. We started to talk about his memories of his lifelong and experienced life. We discovered we had similar religious beliefs. I told him I go to church on a regular basis, and he responded by saying that he did too back in the day, but that his eyesight declined so rapidly that it became hard for him to read the Bible and sing hymns, so he stopped attending altogether. That next night that I walked into his room, we began our bedtime routine as usual. We talked about life and what was for dinner like we normally did, but it wasn't until he got into bed and he was all snuggled up that he looked at me and said, "Open that drawer right over there." I looked at him questioningly. He was a trickster. I knew this, so I suspected some kind of surprise, but still did as I was asked. So I slid open the drawer and I saw this gigantic leather book. I looked at him again in amazement. His eyes lit up so bright that it was as if he were a kid again. He looked at me with a wink and said, "Open it." So I did. It was the Bible. Every single word in it was the same as mine, but the only difference was extra large print so he could read it. He said that he was so excited. He then told me that his son had just bought it for him that morning. He never said anything to his son about our conversation, but there it was, and he wanted me to be the first to see it. We connected. In that moment, when I looked into the eyes of a man who had once only experienced happiness through his distant memories, that I saw he still had faith in God and the hope for an everlasting life. This was a miraculous moment that allowed me to build a bridge over a gap between two very different generations. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and to hope." Next year, when I'm at LaSalle College, I will be majoring in health sciences. My hope is to use this major to eventually determine what specialty I would like to do within the healthcare field, so I can continue on to a master's degree in whatever I choose. As I get prepared to leave for college, I acknowledge the fact that without God, my family, and all of you in the church, I would not be the person I am today, nor would I have experienced some of the incredible frontline moments that I have had. I wouldn't have learned the importance of listening and expressing a deep empathy for others that you in all your ways have taught me. Thank you all for everything you've done to help me grow and thrive as a child of God. I promise to use what I have learned to help others and bring them closer to a strong faith in God. I love you all and thank you.
Student, athlete, employee, friend, family member, Christian. Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mason Gagnier, and these are just a few of the many labels I've received throughout high school. These labels define me as a person. However, some labels are much more important than others. The last two labels, as a family member and as a Christian, have been the most important defining factors in my life. Now, of course, these two labels go hand in hand. From waking up on a Sunday morning for church to our group chat sermons, my family's always been there to keep me on the right track to being a good Christian. God blessed me with the most supportive family possible, so it's only right that we give back to Him through each other. My family has always been there for me. My mom is at all of my sporting events. hosts spaghetti dinners, takes pictures, and picks me up when I'm down. My dad would always coach all of my teams, provides our whole family with humor, whether he means to or not, helps me with homework, and has taught me to pay close attention to detail. Trent, without a doubt, is my best friend and an awesome person to look up to. I thank God for blessing me with them. Being a Christian has helped me every day in my life. At first, high school wasn't all it racked up to be, but with prayer, God blessed me with one of the most cherished high school experiences I can think of. I can speak to God whenever I need it, and whenever I'm struggling, He answers my prayers. As I go to Providence College in the fall, I don't get nervous, despite needing to make new friends and learn new material, although it's a bit nerve-wracking going into a new field of marketing, and I know it's one of the most rigorous programs at the school. I know with prayer that everything will be okay. This church, in so many ways, has helped me. It has provided me with direction, it has provided me with friendships, and it has provided me with a lot of happiness. From learning how to work in a kitchen on the Christmas fair, to getting together for a youth group, to running the annual Sock Hat and Mitten Drive, I've had amazing times here, and I'm always grateful for that. This church has helped me grow in so many ways and grow up as a leader as well as a Christian. If I had to give a bit of advice to anyone out there, especially people that are still in school, it would be to pray. Simply to pray. Instead of panicking about that super important exam you have to take, or instead of worrying about those friendship or relationship problems, pray on it and things will work out for you. Chiltonville Congregational Church, thank you for everything you've done for me.
At this time, we're going to invite Alexis forward as well. And we have, for these four amazing, amazing people, we have Bibles to present to them because they're graduating. So, Mason Gagnier. Rachael Peterson. And I believe we're inviting Elizabeth forward to say a few words for this last young lady.
I am here at Alexis' invitation. We have known each other, I think, since what, 4 years old? And I was sitting over there. She was beside her father. And she was singing from the hymn book. Well, as a reading teacher, I realized she didn't know one word, but she put on a great act. And I fell in love. And I took her little finger, and I gave her her first lesson in reading. I haven't had to give her many lessons. Her parents have done such a great job. And she grew. And she grew from learning to read a word or two to be able to get into Amherst College. No mean trick. And my admiration for her has grown. And Alexis, as I was thinking of what to write, I thought of chapter 13 in Corinthians. When I was a child, I thought as a child. But now that I am a man, I am thinking as a man. And you've grown to womanhood. You've done it beautifully. You really have. The little girl has become a gracious woman. The reading teacher has become an old woman. But I'm so grateful that what Matthew said holds. Now there abideth faith, hope, and love. And we have had love.